All right, so today's the 4th of October 2024. My name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, a company that is so much more than just a clothing company. We are called In the Image because we are universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. So we talk about the skeletal system here. That's what we focus on, is the position, the natural position of the human body. Okay, we do recognize our individuality if and when there are slight differences or maybe very major differences within people, right? Deformities, injuries, surgeries, whatever could be within your situation, amputations, right? Whatever it is, because we are individuals, but within that, the body is designed to work the way that it's designed to work, right? I mean, if you don't have your leg, well, the rest of your body is the same. If you have a deformity in this part of your body somewhere, well, the rest of it is the same. The point is there's like a foundational human being, right? That we can see as we go around. You can sit within an anatomy class and learn the skeletal system of the human body, and it applies. That's what we talk about. So I have had a few prerequisites since before I even founded In the Image Clothing Company, and they will always stay the same even after I'm dead and gone and somebody else is running In the Image Clothing Company, right? They are to lace your shoes, which these ones are laced this way, right? With the technique that is In the Image Clothing Company's technique, found anywhere you find In the Image Clothing Company. You'll find it in many places within there, right? Just meaning there's the internet, you can look up In the Image Clothing Company, you will find us, you will find the shoelacing technique. Pairing that with just tying the shoes evenly over toward the inside, right, on both sides, just to allow the foot to be a foot, okay? I always say we cannot tell our bodies what to do. That goes for I or he or she, just meaning all humans to ever live. We cannot tell our bodies to do something they do not do. I did a video one time called "The Body Only Has One Position," and I went into in very great depth how the body has its natural neutral functioning position, and from there it hinges at the hips like I'm doing now, or it reaches or pivots where the shoulders are, or in the hips there's rotations, internal and external, right? All the things. But my prerequisites: pairing the lacing with removing the tags from stemming in the tongues of the shoes or anywhere inside of them up through the entirety of all the clothing you ever wear. And I've made videos on at least the most common tags, right? Pretty much all the tags, though. I think I have now because I covered hats today. Today I did a video on how hats affect body mechanics. I mean, there might be tags in certain locations that are unique to a certain item of clothing, but within 2024, the commonly placed ones, I have gone over what they do universally to all humans, because they really do alter the body's natural workings, right? So the whole goal of ours at In the Image Clothing Company is just to allow the body to get back to its natural working position. We come into this world, right? We get born onto the earth unaltered, and then through the world, worldly things, and then clothing, we get altered. And our clothing is the only thing placed directly physically on us at all times, so it's the only thing that has the potential to physically alter our bodies, and it does at all times that it's placed on us if it's imbalanced or if it's unnatural, okay? So that's what we do here. A lot of free modifications we show. We will have clothing available to purchase that I can talk about more toward the end. I mean, I will talk about more toward the end, but yes. So what we're going to talk about here is, it's actually, here's the thing. This is actually my 100th video, 100, okay? My 100th video as In the Image Clothing Company. Now, the first some of that, we weren't officially In the Image Clothing Company, but as far as the videos that I've placed where media like this is, even if I wasn't labeling it as a In the Image Clothing Company video toward the start, right? They were still all geared around what we do now as being what we have become, okay? So this is the 100th video, and I feel like it's very appropriate for the 100th video of In the Image Clothing Company by me, the founder, Evan Strong, to be about shoes, because that's the foundation of our bodies physically, right? Both of the prerequisites are within the shoes, right? The lacing and tying, and then the second prerequisite being the tags. They both have to do with the shoes, okay? So what I do want to get into, again, these are laced correct. the design is just a little bit different. So it might look slightly different, but really they're laced correctly, okay? All right. I mean, I did a video on the tongue tabs of shoes, how that affects body mechanics. I'm not using the tongue tabs in these, right? Yeah, I've done a lot of videos. I might mention as I go through this video, if I'm talking about something that relates to a video I've done, I might mention it just so you could go find that if you'd like to. But what I want to talk about is why shoes get worn out so quickly, okay? Sometimes people will study wear patterns on the soles of shoes to try to figure out people's posture, okay? I don't use posture, I don't use the word, because since we cannot tell our bodies what to do, when we hear the word posture, usually that implies being conscious of trying to sit or stand a certain way, and that's actually telling our bodies what to do. No, in the Image Clothing Company, what we do is just take things away and allow our clothing to sit on our bodies so it can just do what it would do without being altered, right? That's the whole goal here. So, don't need to worry about patternings within soles of shoes, because also I've been over in such great depth the reasons to those patternings, to where it's nothing with your body, it's your clothing, okay? And again, undisputed truth is what we discuss here at In The Image Clothing Company. I've gone into it personally in such great depth, all of these things within, like I said, today now 100 videos, averaging probably somewhere around a half hour each. So I know what I'm talking about with this, okay? I really do. Now, the reason shoes get worn out so quickly, like abnormally quickly, we feel like our shoes should have lasted longer than they did, right? The soles are falling apart, right? The bottoms are wearing uneven, which I've gone over why that is, right? You can go find that within In The Image Clothing Company videos. But it's not the shoe's sole material's fault usually. But one thing I've talked about before, I did a video called "It's Not Your Feet, It's Your Stiff Shoe Soles," or "It's Not Your Feet, Your Shoe Soles Are Stiff," or something like that. Because I've shown many times, I did a video called the natural walking gait cycle, right? Natural walking human gait cycle, I think I called it, where I walked barefooted in the grass and I showed how the foot naturally works. Natural gripped arch, internal rotation traveling up the legs into a posterior tuck of the hip, right, with good nails on the toes to allow for support. I've gone into it. I did a video on how socks affect body mechanics, right? And I showed how to put them on and how it actually really does affect the body in a great way, right? And ideally, we're always staying inside of 100% natural materials, but that can't really be guaranteed always, right? My socks are a blend. I've talked about these specific socks. Yes, I mean, these shoes, the uppers are leather, but, right, I mean, we can't guarantee that we can be inside of 100% natural materials at all times. Our clothing at In The Image Clothing Company, when it comes available, we will always incorporate that within our clothing, 100% natural materials. But the point with shoes is if the sole is extra stiff, and I showed how the foot works naturally, right? Now, it can't do that within the sole, and so what'll happen, just because the sole isn't as flexible as like your toes, right? And your feet have so much mobility and movement in them, and the shoe can't quite move that much, being as thick as most soles of shoes are, right? Even the upper, sometimes the stiffness within that sometimes can play into it, okay? Now, if your shoes are laced incorrect, meaning any way that is not In The Image Clothing Company's lacing technique, because it's not our opinion or something we're trying to have people do because of some reason other than it allows the shoe, within what I'm getting into here, the design's capability to fit on the foot like a glove on the hand, right? That's really all our lacing and tying paired does, okay? Universally for shoes, just because the foot only does what it does. There's the same ligaments, tendons, muscles, and bones in every foot, unless you really do have a very uniquely different foot, and that's fine. So, the foot just does what it does, and it has to be laced with our technique and tied evenly over toward the inside to even just allow the foot to do what the foot does. It's nothing about us as a company. It's nothing about me making up some prerequisites. The human foot does what it does, okay? And I've gone over this so much, but it's very important to hit in this video as well. So, if your foot's not being allowed to do its natural thing and it's laced in a way where it's collapsing your arch, then you potentially are scuffing your shoe on the ground often. And also, as you go to just move your foot in a natural walk, it's just going to alter the way that the sole of the shoe like does what it does. So the point is, right, a natural walk, outsides of the feet, I mean, I'm kind of squatted, but same thing. I'd just be up here otherwise, right? But yeah, so again, the lacing, all our lacing technique at In The Image Clothing Company does is just allow the foot to be a foot, okay? Within the shoe's capability to allow that to happen, the specific shoe you're wearing. But if it's laced a different way than how your foot would naturally just do its thing, then as you walk, you're going to be like, without trying to, kind of twisting the sole of the shoe on the ground each step. Because if the laces are trying to push your arches down and your foot's trying to walk like a normal human foot, there's going to be a little bit of a battle each step, and it's kind of doing this each step, right? Wearing away the sole of that shoe. Now, also, very obviously, not at first if you don't know, and that's fine if you don't. I didn't until I learned. But once you know, very obviously, if you are tying your shoes the same direction, now you're going to be walking kind of like this. And it looks weird when I'm doing it, but it's what most all people seriously are doing, because most people really do tie their shoes unevenly. And now you're going to be wearing your one shoe like this, and your other shoe's trying to be normal while still not being allowed to, just because the body's connected. But also, even if it's tied over toward the inside, it's probably laced incorrect. So anyway, that's going to wear out the soles of your shoes quite quickly, very abnormally quickly. But then also, another thing that'll just cause shoes to wear out excessively quick is if you put your shoe on and you're just not careful with the rear of your upper right back here, you're just going to collapse in this back part. A lot of people just stand up and just shove their foot in their shoe and collapse this down, and you can do whatever you want with your own shoes, but they're your shoes. You just have to buy more often if you're doing things that you can very easily not do to allow your shoe to last longer, right? Like that. Just, I mean, be nice to the back of your shoe, right? I mean, some people don't even have shoes at all. We should try our best to take care of what we do have, seriously. So that's a big one. But then also, again, one of the prerequisites, removing the tag from the tongue. If there's a tag in the tongue of your shoe, each step, it's going to like potentially slip around so much, right? Like on the top of your foot. So as you push off, your heel will actually like scrape the back of the shoe, because up here it's slipping. And so it's kind of like allowing your foot to almost slip out of the shoe. And each step, that's wearing away the rear part of the shoe. So when you get like wear marks in here, like right behind your heel inside your shoe, that's something that shouldn't happen. It's not your fault that it's happening, but right, same thing. If that tongue tab's in there, putting that shoe straight. When I made the video about how tongue tabs affect the feet, I think that's what I called it, I showed feet don't go straight like this. They just do not. Universal human design, universal truth. Again, right? I mean, we don't have opinions on that. The foot goes in because an arch grips like this, right? And I made a video called Natural Foot and Ankle Health, right? Where I discussed the natural outward curvature. I made a video called There's a Lot to Internal Rotation, and I showed how that travels up into the hips, right? I mean, I've gone over this many times. No opinions of ours, no dispute. I mean, this is universal truths. The foot does what it does, and that's it, okay? So, those things are going to cause the shoe to wear though a lot, right? Because also if the tongue tab's in the center, not only will it just, you know, cause, I mean, that'll cause uneven wear on the sole as well, because now your natural, like, right, this tongue would naturally be out a little bit. That natural walk will be trying to be there, but it's going straight, so it's like scraping the toe of the sole, and a lot of just unnatural wear will happen. Yeah, so that's a big thing, and I think that's probably just, you know, about what I need to touch on for that. The point is, shoes are getting worn out abnormally quickly because we're wearing them in abnormal positions, okay? Laces, tags, stiffness is within the actual sole design itself, tongue tabs, right? Pushing your foot in and collapsing the back of the shoe as you do that. Even when you tie your shoes, if you're just ripping your laces through the eyelets and you don't have metal eyelets, either way, you'll either wear out your lace quick, or you'll you know, kind of burn through the eyelet with the lace, which is just a rope, right? Things like that. And you can actually see on the tongue of these shoes where the laces aren't actually touching right now, now that they're laced correct. That's how they were laced with the previous owner. I bought these used at the thrift store, and you know, it's worn into the leather, right? I mean, they will wear, but they should last quite a good length of time. I mean, if you've got a decently good, well-designed shoe, I mean, it should last you a good amount of time if it's being worn in a way that your foot can just do its thing, because then there's very little scraping. I mean, when you walk, you shouldn't scrape your heels when you walk and hit your feet on the ground. I mean, it happens, and I'm not trying to like critique people's own individuality within their walking, but again, the human body only works the way it works, meaning the reason you're scraping feet is usually that right foot that's being tied into external rotation and not allowed to even dorsiflex, right? And again, I've gone over all of this many times, but it's usually that right foot that's like scraping the heel a lot, you're hitting your toe a lot. But no, if we can just allow the shoe to the best of that shoe's ability to fit like a glove on the hand, right, but on the foot for the shoe, right, then it'll just last for a long time, or just a lot longer than a lot of people are used to, right? Yeah, okay, I think that's about it, actually. I really do. So all right, I want to kind of sit here for a second and just kind of acknowledge the fact that we have 100 videos. 100 videos. Me being the founder, my name is Evan Strong of In The Image Clothing Company. We now have 100 videos under our belt about the relationship between the natural human body that we did not design and the clothing that we did design, and how those things a lot of times don't quite mesh because it can only go one way. We have to allow our clothing to work around our bodies, and a lot of times we're trying to do it the other direction, and it does not work, okay? Universally across all humans, it doesn't work. So we, meaning I have been the only person in any of these 100 videos up until this point. I've made them, I've filmed them myself, just like this. Information that I've been given, deep, immense understanding about the human body and its natural function, and how really the only way we need to allow it to get back to that is by stop restricting it, okay? Through the only thing placed physically directly on it being our clothing, right? Other things happen within the world. We use things with our hands. We sleep in beds in positions where our bodies don't quite want to be, right? We do other things, but the clothing is the only thing that's pretty much always, really is always, I mean, except for very specific cases, placed directly on our physical bodies, okay? But we also do discuss things like sleep, right? And rest and eating. I've discussed that before. I've done a couple videos, did a video on why diets don't seem to work, right? It's shown in that video just how the human body wants to eat naturally, how to introduce food, something that's foreign, into our bodies naturally, the way it wants it to happen, right? We can't tell it what to do. We have In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where a lot of times we just discuss the gospel of Jesus Christ, meaning we might not even be within certain episodes of our podcast talking about clothing at all. Or if we do, it'll just be kind of to segue into the gospel, right? We have that. Like I said, we will have clothing available. I can't tell you as of today's date when that will be, but we will have it. It will come. It really will. And I'm excited for it because everything that I've ever shown within these videos as far as clothing that I'm wearing, I've had to modify in some kind of way, right? Even if it's just as simple as removing a tag, I've had to do some kind of modification just to allow it to sit on my body without altering it, right? And I'm no different, but my body does operate, or is allowed to, it is at its current state, operate a lot differently than most people nowadays. But it's not because of me, it's because the things that I'm freely sharing, free modifications within clothing, universal truths of what the human body needs just to be allowed to do what it was designed to do. Okay, so yeah, we'll have some cool stuff, meaning just, again, as I say, we're going to build this community as big and as broad as we possibly can, just for the sole intent of allowing our bodies to get back to how they were designed. Because the whole focus is we didn't design this. I'm not giving advice on what we should do. I'm showing what things are doing to our bodies, right? It's the other end. So we say some very bold things, right? I've got big, bold claims that I say all the time. We shouldn't have to stretch unless something very major happens. We shouldn't have to work out or exercise to get up to a certain capability level, because the body should work within our own situations, right? You might have your own things, but I make these bold claims within the podcast. We're going to make some very, we're going to make some noise in a sense. We're going to say a lot of things that are probably going to very, very much offend people, but that's okay, because we're speaking on universal truths, and truth tends to offend people if they don't want to believe it, but truth does not change. Our living God himself, Jesus the Christ, is the truth, the way, and the life. And he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So truth does not change. Our bodies being designed in his image do not change, but the world does, slightly. Here and there, things change, materials change, designs within clothing change. So we address those kind of things. We speak on truth. It might hurt your feelings. I am sorry, but we're not going to change something if it does, okay? Yes, because the whole point is truth is truth. It is universal, it is unchanging, and what it does always is set you free. And what's cool about that is you can see that within the videos that I've made. Again, this is the 100th video I have made as far as In the Image Clothing Company content goes. And being the founder, right? I am the founder. The point is, you can see my own body through these videos in the past few months. It's only been a few months since I started making these videos. You can see how my body has changed. And I'm not doing stretches behind the scenes or working out behind the scenes, or no, I'm just allowing it to get back to natural. Because what happens when people are trying to do things to their body to get it to do something, it actually starts to look quite unnatural. The only way you can get your body to be natural is by removing things, right? Anything we add is unnatural. That's a big, huge key thing to see. Again, we're very minimal here. We're very blunt, and it's about taking things away, getting back to what we were given. The only thing that we were actually given and promised in this life, in this physical life, which is our physical bodies. That is what qualifies us to have a physical life. That is what makes up our physical life. We couldn't experience emotions through our bodies without our bodies. We couldn't experience our spirituality in the vessel that is our bodies without our bodies. Our bodies are our bodies. Intellectual things, things that we get to learn and think about, mental things, that comes from the brain placed within our bodies, right? There are things, right, spirituality, heaven, and all of these things that we talk about within the gospel of Jesus Christ, and just the spirit, right, being within the spirit, that is outside of our physical bodies, but we experience that within this life through our physical bodies as our vessel. So we have to take care of them, or else you don't have it And that happens much sooner than later if you're not careful, if I'm not careful. All the things I speak about, no matter how accusacious, again, being the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, I want to be very clear on that. No matter how accusacious I sound or the company gets or sounds, no matter what we're talking about, it applies to us as well, right? When I'm saying things like you cannot do this, you cannot do that, meaning telling your body what to do, that applies for me as well. I'm no different. We are all equal sinful humans, and we have to rely on our living God, Jesus Christ. So stick around. We're going to just keep on going, however it looks, as far as the amount of videos that keep getting put out, and if we're going to transfer into more podcast stuff now that I've touched on most all things, really, at least foundational wise, within clothing, or if we keep, you know, at a similar rate within the clothing type videos. When our clothing comes out, that's something, like I said, I cannot tell you as of now, but I just can tell you guaranteed it will. I mean, unless I die, as long as somebody else makes sure it happens, then cool, but like I can't really do it from the spirit, you know? So anyway, this is In The Image Clothing Company. Check us out. We do have our official domain, InTheImageClothingCompany.com. I was going to see if that used all my fingers and it didn't quite work out. InTheImageClothingCompany.com. All right, that works. Check that out. As of today's date, it's still under construction, but that's where you will always be able to go. Yes, universal truths, okay? Before you get offended about stuff, I've said this since the very beginning. Please hear what we are actually saying, not what you are hearing. And if you don't know the things we're talking about, hey, that's fine. There's a lot that I don't know. There's always going to be a lot that every one of us does not know, because we don't have the ability to know everything within this life. But that's, again, the point. We focus on and are centered around, just as everything is, our Lord, our God himself, Jesus Christ, okay? So thank you. Stick around for many hundreds more videos, as many podcasts as we can, as come, I guess. I mean, it's not some kind of like, let's do as much as we possibly can, but just stick around for what does come. A lot of free modifications within your own clothing. You can see, again, I am living physical proof of what's happened through my body because of these modifications that you have access to freely within clothing. Let's build this community big, broad. Remember, anytime you are talking with anybody, whether it's typing online or any kind of video thing or meetups that we will do in the future, anytime you're in the community of In The Image Clothing Company, and really throughout your entire life, but I'm not trying to tell you what to do within your own life. You know, it's not really up to me to do that. But within our community that is In The Image Clothing Company, please, including myself, again, equal sinful humans, all of us, we have to try our absolute best to be Christ-like to all people who we discuss things with, okay? The big thing is, it gets very frustrating sometimes when we have a pretty deep understanding of something and other people don't know anything about it, and that's something I struggle with a lot of pride within that, trying to, like, I feel like I'm talking down on people and I don't feel right about that, but I also don't want to feel like I have to get into it from the very beginning because I've got like this deep understanding of it. And so different understandings, right? Different places, different levels of experience, different ways of understanding. People are different and unique. We're coming from different parts of the globe, right? This is going to be available to everybody we can possibly reach. So we need to try our best, including myself, right? Which none of us will ever be perfect at, but to be as Christ-like as we can and be kind to each other throughout everything we do, while just spreading as much as we can the information about the relationship with clothing and the natural human body. Really, the focus is our living God designed our bodies. We are trying to do all that we can through not just clothing, but anything and everything that our bodies come in contact with or get to go through within this physical life. We're trying to get them back to and or keep them in the way they were designed, okay? Even if that's not at all how you expected yours to look or work or operate or be, or same in my case, right? We've all got our own things, but we don't actually have control over our bodies, no matter how much any of us wants to believe at any point that we do, okay? And that manifests itself when you get hit by a car and wake up in the hospital, or when you have a major surgery, right? I've had 2 full open heart surgeries, things like this, where we don't actually have control over this. We can think that we do all that we want, but we don't, okay? So we have to remember who's in charge, and that is our living God, okay? So thank you. This is a big video because it's the 100th video, and that makes me very happy, just because When I started making these videos, I wasn't even sure where it was going, and now we do have In The Image Clothing Company, and it's huge. Huge no matter who, huge even if we never got a single view on a video, huge even if we never got a single subscriber to anywhere our videos were placed, huge even if we as a company, In The Image Clothing Company, never sold an item of clothing. Huge because, again, the knowledge that even I myself am able to have for my own use of the fact that we did not design our bodies and just how to allow them to do what they were designed to do. That's why this is huge, okay? Surgeries, so many of them don't need to happen. Injections, medications, physical therapy, rehabilitations, all of these things, chiropractic visits, a vast majority of them are absolutely avoidable and absolutely unnecessary to do once we get our bodies to the best of our own body's capability and situation back to its natural centered foundation on a vertical globe with gravity, okay? And we do that through mostly clothing here at In The Image Clothing Company. Again, my name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Today is the 4th of October, 2024. Stick around, it's going to be awesome just for all of our sakes. We're going to grow together, and again, everything centered around our living God, Jesus Christ. Okay, thank you.